Across the stars, through your speakers, it's the Intergalactic Insider. I'm Felix Andromeda, broadcasting from Proxima Centauri b. Whether you're a nocturnal Necronian just waking up to the cold glow of your planet's binary suns, or a diurnal Deimosian enjoying the twilight hours before your daylight slumber, we've got a stellar show for you today. And if you missed our previous episode, where we delved into the dark world of interstellar hacking and the tragic living bomb incident on a Starliner, be sure to catch up. Oh, and let's not forget the unforgettable interview with Ziggy the time-traveling tour guide in episode 13. Before we blast off, a quick shout out to our sponsor, Cosmic Coffee. Fuel your intergalactic adventures with their new Supernova Espresso and Pulsar Pumpkin Spice flavors. Now buckle up, Space Cadets, because we've got an exclusive treat for you in our 20th installment of Intergalactic Insider. Today, we're diving deep into the life of the notorious space pirate, Xander Zephyr. In this thrilling interview, we'll uncover the secrets behind Xander's most daring heists, like the time he hijacked a quasar cruiser and made off with a cargo hold full of rare xanthium crystals. Plus, we'll get a sneak peek at the cutting-edge tech he uses to stay one step ahead of the galactic authorities. We'll also be exploring his swashbuckling adventures that have made him a legend across the galaxy, and Professor Cosmos will take us on a wild ride through the history of piracy in the Milky Way. And don't forget to stick around for Comet Channing's interstellar weather report. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. So, strap in and prepare for an adventure that's out of this world. Disclaimer: listening to Intergalactic Insider may cause sudden bouts of cosmic enlightenment and an insatiable craving for cosmic coffee. Welcome back, Space Cadets. It's time for another thrilling episode of Intergalactic Insider, the show that brings you the juiciest gossip, the most scandalous stories, and the craziest characters from across the universe. Today, we've got a real treat for you, an exclusive interview with none other than Xander Zephyr, the most notorious space pirate to ever set foot, or tentacle, on a starship. But first, let's address the giant, ghostly elephant in the room. If you missed episode 7, you're probably feeling more lost than a stormtrooper in a blizzard right now. We received a bone-chilling message from the mysterious leader of the Ghost Pirates, the enigmatic Captain Crimson. Let me tell you, it was enough to make your space pants spontaneously combust. In this message, Captain Crimson went on a wild rant about fighting oppression, battling corruption, and being the self-appointed saviors of the universe. I mean, who died and made them the Jedi Council? Apparently, they think they're some sort of intergalactic Robin Hoods, stealing from the rich and giving to the poor, but let's be real, they're probably just keeping all the loot for themselves. If you haven't listened to that episode yet, you're missing out on some grade A premium quality cosmic drama. It's like a reality TV show, but with more explosions, more plot twists, and way more alien species. Trust me, your life will never be the same after hearing this shocking revelation, so go ahead and give it a listen. We'll wait. Alright, now that you're all caught up, let's turn to our resident historian and all-around smarty pants, Professor Cosmos. Professor, what do you make of these ghostly space pirates and their grand delusions of heroism?
Ah, the ghost pirates. Where do I even begin? Picture this, Felix, a ragtag group of misfits, outcasts, and rebels, all united under the banner of sticking it to the man. It's like a cosmic version of the Breakfast Club, but with more explosions and fewer angsty teenage monologues. The ghost pirates are just the latest in a long line of spacefaring rabble-rousers who have tried to shake up the galactic status quo. It all started back in the early days of interstellar exploration, when a group of disgruntled space truckers decided to take their grievances to the stars. They called themselves the Cosmic Cowboys, and they roamed the galaxy in their souped-up semi-trucks, causing mayhem and leaving a trail of space litter in their wake. But the cosmic cowboys were small potatoes compared to what came next. Enter the Nebula Ninjas, a secretive order of assassins who used their mastery of the mystic arts to pull off daring heists and take down corrupt politicians. They were like the space version of Robin Hood, if Robin Hood had a black belt in space karate and a collection of rare antique throwing stars. And let's not forget the Void Vixens, an all-female crew of pirates who used their feminine wiles and their mastery of disguise to infiltrate high-security space stations and make off with priceless artifacts. They were the scourge of the galaxy, leaving a trail of broken hearts and empty bank vaults in their wake. But the ghost pirates? They're a different breed entirely. They're not in it for the money, or the fame, or the thrill of the heist. No, they've got a higher purpose, or at least that's what they claim. They say they're fighting against the corrupt galactic corporations, the oppressive planetary governments, and the shady backroom deals that keep the masses in the dark. It's all very noble and idealistic, but let's be real. It's also a bit of a cliché. I mean, how many times have we heard this story before? The plucky underdogs rising up against the evil empire, fighting for truth, justice, and the galactic way. It's straight out of the hero's journey playbook. But here's the thing. As much as I might roll my eyes at their grandiose proclamations and their melodramatic manifestos, I can't help but feel a little bit of admiration for the ghost pirates. Because let's face it, the galaxy is a mess. The rich keep getting richer, the poor keep getting poorer, and the powers that be seem more interested in lining their own pockets than in actually making life better for the average space citizen. So maybe, just maybe, the ghost pirates are onto something. Maybe their brand of space anarchy is exactly what the galaxy needs to shake things up and get people to start questioning the status quo. Or maybe they're just a bunch of delusional space cases with a flair for the dramatic. Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure, the ghost pirates have certainly made an impression. They've got the galaxy talking, and they've got the authorities running scared. And in a universe as vast and crazy as ours, that's no small feat. So, to answer your question, Felix, what do I make of the ghost pirates and their grand delusions of heroism? I say bring on the space drama. If nothing else, it'll make for some damn good listening on Intergalactic Insider. And who knows, maybe, just maybe, they'll actually manage to make a difference out there in the wild, wacky reaches of the cosmos. Stranger things have happened.
Thank you, Professor Cosmos. Now let's dive right into our interview with the one and only Xander Zephyr. He's joining us today via hologram from an undisclosed location, which, let's be honest, is probably some seedy spaceport bar with sticky floors and questionable clientele. Xander, welcome to the show. First things first, what's your take on these ghost pirates and their melodramatic manifesto?
Well, Felix, I've got to give them some credit. They certainly know how to put on a show. But let's be real, they're just a bunch of amateur hour wannabe rebels without a clue. They talk a big game about fighting the power and sticking it to the man. But at the end of the day, they're just in it for the fame and the fortune, like the rest of us. I mean, fighting oppression and corruption. Please, the only thing I fight for is cold, hard cash, and maybe the occasional adrenaline rush. I don't need some fancy, high-minded ideology to justify my actions. I do what I do because I'm good at it and because it's a hell of a lot of fun.
Well, at least you're honest about your dishonesty. But before we dive into your most daring heist, I'm sure our listeners are dying to know, what's a typical day in the life of the infamous Xander Zephyr like? Walk us through your daily routine, from the moment you wake up to the moment you drift off to sleep, assuming you even sleep at all.
A typical day? Felix, my friend, there's no such thing as a typical day in the life of a space pirate. Every day is a new adventure, a new challenge, a new opportunity to test my skills and push my limits. But if you insist on a glimpse into my daily routine, picture this. I wake up to the sweet serenade of alarms blaring and laser cannons firing. It's like my personal cosmic coffee maker, jolting me awake and getting the blood pumping. I roll out of my bunk, the scent of recycled air and ionized plasma filling my nostrils, and strap on my trusty blaster. You know, the one with the custom mother-of-pearl grip. I saunter onto the bridge of my ship, the Supernova Siren, and it's like stepping into a symphony of chaos. My crew is already hard at work, their fingers flying over consoles and star charts, plotting our next big score. The smell of burnt coffee and the tang of ozone fill the air. Just another day in paradise. From there, it's a whirlwind of activity. One moment, I might be poring over schematics, looking for the perfect way to infiltrate a high-security vault. The next, I'm in the cockpit, my hands wrapped around the controls, weaving through an asteroid field with a fleet of galactic authority ships hot on my tail. The adrenaline, Felix. There's nothing like it. Of course, even the galaxy's most notorious space pirate needs to eat. If I'm lucky, I'll have time to choke down a pouch of freeze-dried nutrient paste. Tastes like a cross between cardboard and regret. But it keeps me going.
Cardboard and regret? Sounds like my last blind date.
And if I'm really fortunate, I might even squeeze in a power nap. But only if my crew is watching my back. In this business, you never know when a rival pirate or a double-crossing client might try to stab you in the back. Literally. But you know what makes it all worthwhile, Felix? The heists. The rush of adrenaline as you crack open a vault full of priceless artifacts, the satisfaction of outsmarting the authorities and leaving them in the cosmic dust. It's like a drug, and I'm hopelessly addicted.
Speaking of heists, I'm sure our listeners are on the edge of their seats, wondering about your most audacious caper. But first I have to ask, what set you on this path? What made you decide to become a space pirate in the first place?
It's a long story, Felix. Let's just say I've seen firsthand how the galaxy really works. The corruption, the greed, the injustice. I grew up on a mining colony, watching the corporate fat cats get richer while my family and friends struggled to put food on the table. I decided early on that I wasn't going to play by their rules. I was going to make my own. And now here I am. The scourge of the galaxy, the bane of the galactic authority. It's not an easy life, but it's the only one that makes sense to me, the only one that lets me feel truly alive.
What a thrilling tale, Xander. Your exploits never cease to amaze me. But I must say, the Supernova Siren sounds like quite the ship. Can you tell us more about her? What makes her so special? And how did you come to acquire such a magnificent vessel?
The Supernova Siren. She's more than just a ship, Felix. She's a part of me. An extension of my very being. I first laid eyes on her when I was just a rookie pirate, fresh off my first big score. I knew right then and there that she was meant for me. Picture this, a young, dashing Xander Zephyr, strolling through the seedy underbelly of a backwater spaceport, and there amidst the rust and grime, a gleaming vision of beauty, the Supernova Siren, her sleek lines and cutting-edge tech practically singing a siren song to my pirate heart. Of course, she wasn't mine yet. She belonged to a notorious smuggler named Zex the Hex Xanatos, a real piece of work with a temper as short as a Venusian summer, but I had a plan. I challenged Zex to a game of high-stakes nebula poker. Winner takes the Supernova Siren. It was a tense match filled with bluffs, double bluffs, and a few close calls with a plasma blaster. But in the end, my lucky star held out, and I walked away with the keys to my new baby.
Only you could win a ship in a poker game, Xander. But what makes the Supernova Siren so unique?
Where do I even begin? For starters, her quantum flux engines can outrun anything in the galaxy, including the Galactic Authority's fastest cruisers. She's got a cloaking device that can render her invisible to all known scanning tech, and an arsenal of weapons that would make a small army green with envy. But it's not just about raw power. The Supernova Siren is a work of art, Felix. Her interior is a masterpiece of luxurious design and cutting-edge tech. From the zero-gravity sleeping pods to the holographic navigation system, every inch of her is crafted for maximum comfort and efficiency. And then there's her AI, a sassy little number named Stella. She's not just a computer, she's my co-pilot, my confidant, and occasionally my conscience. Together, we've outfoxed the authorities, outwitted rival pirates, and pulled off some of the most daring heists in the galaxy.
She sounds like a true marvel, Xander. A ship like that must require a lot of maintenance and upgrades. How do you keep her in tip-top shape while staying one step ahead of the law?
It's not easy, Felix. Being a space pirate isn't all thrilling heists and daring escapes. There's a lot of hard work that goes on behind the scenes. I've got a network of trusted mechanics and tech dealers scattered across the galaxy, always on the lookout for the latest and greatest in black market ship upgrades. Every time we pull into port, the Supernova Siren gets a full overhaul. New weapons, stronger shields, faster engines. It's a never-ending process of evolution and adaptation, staying one step ahead of the authorities and the competition. But you know what? I wouldn't trade it for anything. The bond between a pirate and his ship, it's something special, something sacred. When I'm at the helm of the Supernova Siren, with the stars stretching out before me and the promise of adventure on the horizon, I feel truly alive. There's nothing else like it in the whole universe.
Wow, Xander, I can really feel the love and passion you have for your ship. It's clear that the Supernova Siren is more than just a means of transportation. She's your home, your partner, and your key to the boundless freedom of the stars. It's a beautiful thing, the bond between a pirate and his ship. And speaking of beautiful things, I've heard rumors about your exploits with a certain galactic duchess. Care to share any juicy details with our listeners?
Ah, Felix, you sly dog. I should have known you'd try to steer our conversation towards my love life. But you know me. A gentleman never kisses and tells. Although I will say this. Being a space pirate isn't exactly conducive to long-term relationships. It's hard to settle down when you're always on the move, dodging the law and chasing the next big score. But that doesn't mean I'm a lone wolf, Felix. I've had my share of passionate flings and star-crossed romances over the years.
Oh, do tell! Our listeners are dying to know. What's it like to romance the galaxy's most notorious space pirate?
It's a wild ride, Felix. When you live life on the edge like I do, everything is intense. The highs are higher, the lows are lower, and the loves burn brighter than a supernova. I've had my heart broken by a Venusian princess, shared a whirlwind affair with a daring bounty hunter, and even once briefly considered settling down with a beautiful Xanthium mogul. But in the end, the call of the stars always proves too strong. I'm a pirate through and through. It's in my blood, in my very soul. No matter how tempting the thought of a quiet life might be, I know I could never give up the thrill of the chase, the rush of a daring heist.
It sounds like a lonely life at times, Xander. Do you ever wish things could be different?
There are moments, sure, when I'm lying in my bunk after a narrow escape, staring out at the infinite expanse of space. I wonder what it might be like to have someone to share it with. Someone who understands the life, who thrills to the same adventures. But then I remember I have the Supernova Siren, my trusted crew, and the boundless freedom of the pirate's life. And really, what more could a man ask for? I may not have a white picket fence and 2.5 kids, but I have the entire galaxy as my playground. And that, Felix, is a love affair that will never grow old.
You make a compelling case, Xander. It's clear that the pirate's life is more than just a career for you. It's a calling, a passion that drives you to be the best at what you do. Which brings me to my next question. With the galactic authorities always hot on your heels, you must have some seriously cutting-edge tech up your sleeve. Care to give our listeners a peek behind the curtain? What kind of gadgets and gizmos does the galaxy's greatest pirate rely on to stay one step ahead?
Ah, now you're speaking my language, Felix. A pirate's only as good as his tech, and believe me, I've got the best of the best. For starters, there's my personal cloaking device, a little marvel I picked up from a rogue Xanthium tech dealer. It bends light and sound waves around me, rendering me practically invisible to the naked eye. Well, perfect for those times when I need to make a discreet exit from a heist gone wrong. Then there's my hacking rig, a custom-built beauty that can slice through any security system like a hot knife through bantha butter. Quantum-encrypted firewalls, DNA-locked vaults, nothing stands a chance against this baby. And of course, what kind of pirate would I be without a trusty arsenal of weapons? I've got plasma blasters that can punch a hole through a starship hull, ion grenades that can fry a droid's circuits with a single blast, and even a prototype singularity cannon, though I save that one for special occasions.
Incredible! It sounds like you're packing enough heat to take on a small army, Xander. But how do you stay ahead of the curve? With the galactic authorities always developing new countermeasures, it must be a constant arms race.
Oh, it is, Felix. It's a never-ending dance of innovation and adaptation, but I've got a few tricks up my sleeve to stay ahead of the game. For one thing, I've cultivated a network of black market tech dealers and rogue scientists across the galaxy. They keep me supplied with the latest and greatest in illegal tech prototypes, experimental devices, stuff the authorities haven't even dreamed of yet. But more than that, I've learned to think like my enemies. I study the Galactic Authorities' tactics, their protocols, their weaknesses. Every time they come up with a new toy to try and catch me, I'm already 3 steps ahead, figuring out how to turn their own tech against them. It's a constant challenge, staying 1 step ahead of the law. But hey, that's half the fun of being a space pirate. The day I stop loving the thrill of outsmarting the authorities is the day I hang up my blaster for good.
I don't see that day coming anytime soon, Xander. You're a true master of your craft, a pirate's pirate through and through. And as much as I'd love to keep picking your brain for juicy details, dear listeners, I'm afraid it's time for us to take a quick break. But don't touch that dial. When we come back, we'll be delving even deeper into the shadowy world of space piracy. We'll be discussing the fabled pirate code, the unwritten rules that govern the lives of these galactic outlaws. Does Xander play by the rules, or is he a lone wolf who makes his own laws? We'll find out. Plus, we'll be meeting the colorful cast of characters who make up Xander's crew. From his right-hand man to his tech wizard, those who keep the supernova siren flying and the heists coming. And if that's not enough to keep you on the edge of your seat, we'll also be exploring Xander's rivalries and alliances with other notorious space pirates. Who are his friends? Who are his foes? And what happens when they cross paths on the cosmic high seas? All that and more when Intergalactic Insider returns. Stay tuned, space cadets.
Greetings, fellow beings of the cosmos. I recently purchased the Dreamscape 5000 from Morpheus Mattresses, and let me tell you, it's been a real nightmare. They claimed it would transport me to a world of blissful slumber, but instead it transported me to a dimension filled with sentient carnivorous pillows. Every night, I find myself running for my life through a landscape made entirely of memory foam. And if that wasn't bad enough, the built-in soothing sonic simulator is anything but soothing. It's like trying to sleep in the middle of a Gargaxian heavy metal concert. But I have to admit, the mattress is so comfortable that I can't bear to part with it. So if you're looking for a sleep experience that's equal parts terrifying and cozy, the Dreamscape 5000 might just be for you. Sweet dreams, if you dare.
Welcome back, my fellow space scallywags and cosmic crooks, to another thrilling episode of Intergalactic Insider. Before the break, we were picking the brain of the one and only Xander Zephyr, the galaxy's most notorious and devastatingly handsome space pirate.
Oh, stop it, Felix. You're making me blush. Or maybe that's just the radiation from my last heist.
But now, let's talk about something that's sure to make your pirate heart go pitter-patter. The legendary pirate code. Xander, is it true that there's a secret set of rules that all you space pirates follow religiously?
Oh, absolutely, Felix. The pirate code is as real as a Venusian's love for karaoke. It's not some boring legal mumbo-jumbo. It's more like a set of sacred commandments passed down from pirate to pirate since the dawn of space travel. The first and most important rule of the pirate code: always look fabulous while stealing. I mean, what's the point of being a space pirate if you can't do it in style?
Of course, of course. And what about the other rules?
Well, let's see. There's the no take-backs rule. Once you've stolen something, it's yours forever. No returns, no exchanges, no refunds. Then there's the dibs protocol. If you call dibs on a treasure, no other pirate can touch it. It's like a galactic game of not it. And of course, the most sacred rule of all, always share your booty with your crew. A happy crew is a loyal crew, and a loyal crew is the key to a successful pirate career.
Wise words, Xander. But what happens if a pirate breaks the code?
Break the code? Why, that's like asking a Wookiee to shave. It's unthinkable. A pirate who breaks the code is no true pirate at all. They're just a common thief with delusions of grandeur. No, a true pirate lives and breathes the code. It's what separates us from the riffraff and the rabble. Without the code, we're just a bunch of space hobos with laser pistols.
I never knew being a space pirate was so philosophical. But tell me, Xander, who are these brave souls who have dedicated their lives to upholding the pirate code alongside you?
Ah, my crew, they're the finest bunch of misfits, oddballs, and lovable scoundrels you'll ever meet. Let me introduce you to my inner circle. First, there's my right-hand gal, Luna the Lunatic Lovell. She's the best pilot in the galaxy. She could fly a brick through an asteroid field and come out the other side without a scratch. Just don't ask her to parallel park. Then there's Zed, our resident tech genius. He's half man, half machine, and all mad scientist. I once saw him hack into a vending machine using nothing but a paperclip and a piece of string cheese. And of course, there's Grok, our muscle. He's a 7-foot-tall walking mountain of meat and anger issues. But deep down, he's a big softy. Just don't tell him I said that, or he'll rip my arms off and beat me with them.
Incredible! With a crew like that, I'm surprised you even need weapons.
Oh, we've got plenty of those too, Felix. But my crew is my secret weapon. They're not just my underlings, they're my family. We've been through more scrapes and close calls than a galactic senator's hairpiece. I found most of them in the same place I find everything else of value, in the trash. But one pirate's trash is another pirate's treasure, and I polished these rough diamonds until they shone like the stars themselves.
That's beautiful, Xander. It's clear that you and your crew share an unbreakable bond. But even the tightest-knit pirate families must have some rivals out there, right?
Oh, you better believe it, Felix. In this business, you make enemies faster than a Huts at an all-you-can-eat buffet. There's Captain Zara, for one, a deadly mercenary with a heart as cold as the void of space. She's been trying to beat me to the punch on every major heist for years now. I think she's just jealous of my dashing good looks and impeccable fashion sense. And then there's the Crimson Corsair, the new kid on the block. This mysterious masked marauder has been making quite a name for themselves lately, pulling off some of the most audacious heists I've ever seen. I'd almost be impressed if I weren't so busy being insanely jealous. Mark my words, Felix. One day, the Crimson Corsair and I will have an epic showdown, a clash of the cosmic titans. It'll be like high noon at the OK Corral, but with more lasers and less cows.
I can hardly wait to see that. It sounds like the pirate life is just one big, crazy, laser-filled adventure after another.
That's the understatement of the millennium, Felix. Being a space pirate is like riding a roller coaster that never ends, except instead of safety bars, you've got laser cannons, and instead of a snack bar, you've got a cargo hold full of stolen treasure. But I wouldn't trade it for all the credits in the galaxy, the freedom, the excitement, the thrill of the chase. It's what I live for. And as long as I have my ship, my crew, and my dashingly handsome reflection in the mirror, I'll keep on pirating until the stars go out.
Well, there you have it, folks. The secret to a long and successful career as a space pirate. All you need is a quick wit, a trusty crew, and a complete disregard for the law and personal safety. You know, Xander, there's one thing that sets you apart from all the other space pirates out there. Your impeccable fashion sense. I mean, the leather, the boots, the rakish grin. It's like you walked straight out of a pirate fashion magazine. Is there a story behind your signature look?
Ah, Felix, you've discovered my secret. I'm not just a pirate, I'm a fashion icon. It all started back when I was just a young rapscallion, dreaming of the pirate life. I knew that if I was going to make it in this business, I had to stand out from the crowd. So I scoured the galaxy for the finest leather, the shiniest buckles, and the most dashing accessories. I studied the great pirate fashionistas of old, like the legendary Captain Calico Jack and the fabulous Anne Bonny. And slowly but surely, I crafted my own signature style, a blend of classic pirate chic and cutting-edge cosmic couture.
Incredible. So you're telling me that the secret to your success is fashion?
Well, it's not the only secret, but it's definitely a big part of it. You see, Felix, being a space pirate is all about reputation. You've got to make a name for yourself, strike fear into the hearts of your enemies, and inspire awe in your allies. And there's no better way to do that than by looking absolutely fabulous while you're doing it. Plus, it doesn't hurt that my dashing good looks have made me the darling of the intergalactic tabloids. Xander Zephyr, pirate or fashion plate? Buckles and blasters, the Xander Zephyr story. I can't even rob a space bank these days without being swarmed by adoring fans and autograph seekers.
The price of fame, eh, Xander? But I bet your fashion sense has gotten you out of a few tight spots over the years too.
Oh, absolutely. There was this one time I was cornered by a squad of Galactic Authority troopers, all of them pointing their blasters at me and demanding my surrender. But then the commander caught sight of my custom-tooled leather boots and said, "Wait a minute, are those the limited edition Zorbo 500S with the anti-grav soles?" Turns out he was a huge fan of my fashion blog, Pirate Couture Daily. We ended up chatting for hours about the latest trends in zero-G accessories and the proper way to coordinate your eye patch with your bandolier. By the time we were done, he was so starstruck that he let me go with a warning and an autographed picture.
Only you could turn a fashion lesson into a daring escape, Xander. Speaking of daring, though, I think it's time we got to the main event, the story of your most legendary heist. But first, a short break. Welcome back, Space Cadets! When we left off, Xander was just about to regale us with the tale of his most audacious heist ever. Xander, take it away!
Ah, yes, the heist to end all heists. It all started with a tip-off about a quasar cruiser carrying the biggest load of xanthium crystals ever seen this side of the galactic core. Picture this, Felix, a quasar cruiser the size of a small moon, gliding through the inky void of space like a cosmic whale. And me, the intrepid space pirate, plotting to harpoon this leviathan and make off with its precious cargo. The intel was solid, a shipment of xanthium crystals, worth more than the GDP of a small planet tucked away in the cruiser's vault. It was the score of a lifetime, but there was just one problem. The security on that ship was tighter than a Venusian viceroy's purse strings.
Tighter than a Venusian viceroy's purse strings? That's saying something.
But you know me, Felix. I never met a challenge I couldn't charm my way past. So I cooked up a plan that was equal parts brilliant and insane. First, I needed a disguise. I couldn't exactly waltz onto a quasar cruiser looking like the galaxy's most wanted space pirate. So I hit up my trusty disguise kit and transformed myself into a lowly maintenance worker, complete with a fake ID, a grease-stained jumpsuit, and a toolkit full of gadgets that would make a spy blush. Getting on board was almost too easy. Flash a badge, mutter something about a faulty air recycler, and boom, I was in. The hard part was navigating the ship's labyrinthine corridors without raising suspicion. It was like trying to find a neutron in a nebula, but with the added risk of getting vaporized if I made one wrong move.
I'm on the edge of my seat here, Xander. How did you find your way to the vault?
Trade secret, Felix. Let's just say I had a map that was more valuable than a xanthium crystal itself, and leave it at that. When I finally reached the vault, that's when the real fun began. The door was a masterpiece of engineering, reinforced durasteel, quantum encrypted locks, and a biometric scanner that could detect the DNA of a space flea. But like I always say, every lock has a key if you know where to look. It took some doing and a few close calls with some very suspicious security droids, but I finally cracked that vault wide open, and there they were. Felix, the xanthium crystals glittering like a galaxy of stars. It was almost enough to make me weep with joy.
But the heist wasn't over yet, was it? You still had to get off the ship with your loot.
Oh, absolutely. And that's when things got really interesting. Picture this, Felix, me, with a sack full of xanthium crystals slung over my shoulder, running through the corridors of the quasar cruiser like a space gazelle on stimulants. And hot on my heels, a squad of heavily armed security droids, all programmed to vaporize first and ask questions later.
Sweet celestial circuits. How did you give them the slip?
Well, let's just say I had a few tricks up my sleeve. Remember that toolkit I mentioned earlier? Turns out it wasn't just for show. I whipped out a couple of ion grenades and tossed them behind me, frying the droid's circuits and buying myself a few precious seconds. Then I activated my secret weapon, a prototype portable teleporter stolen from a top-secret Galactic Authority lab. One moment, I was racing through the quasar cruiser's corridors. The next, I was materializing in the airlock of my own ship, the Supernova Siren. My crew had been monitoring my progress the whole time, ready to swoop in for a daring extraction.
That's some serious space sorcery, Xander. But what about the quasar cruiser? Surely they didn't just let you fly off into the sunset.
Oh, they tried to stop me, all right. The moment I teleported off their ship, they launched a full-scale assault. Laser cannons, plasma torpedoes, the whole shebang. But the supernova siren isn't just a pretty face, Felix. She's got teeth. My crew had already powered up the shields and primed the quantum cannons. We danced through that barrage of fire like a supernova swan, all grace and fury.
And then what happened?
And then just when the Quasar cruiser thought they had us cornered, I played my final card. Remember those ion grenades I mentioned? Turns out I had planted a few extras in strategic locations around the cruiser, including right next to their main power core. With the flick of a switch, I detonated those grenades, sending a massive electromagnetic pulse rippling through the cruiser's systems. Their shields fell, their weapons went offline, and their engines sputtered out like a dying star.
You didn't destroy the whole ship, did you?
No, I'm a pirate, not a monster. The pulse was designed to disable, not destroy, but it gave us just the window we needed to make our escape. We punched the hyperdrive, and the stars stretched into ribbons of light around us as we blasted off into the void. By the time the Quasar Cruiser got their systems back online, we were already parsecs away, toasting our victory with a bottle of vintage Aldebaran whiskey.
Incredible. Xander Zephyr, you are truly a legend among space pirates. But I have to ask, what did you do with all those xanthium crystals?
Now that, Felix, is a story for another time. Let's just say that a certain ruggedly handsome space pirate is now the proud owner of his own private moon, complete with a luxury resort, a top-notch spa, and a zero-gravity dance club. And that, my friend, is the story of my greatest heist. The caper that made me the scourge of the galaxy, the bane of the Galactic Authority, and the envy of every other pirate in the quadrant. Not bad for a day's work, if I do say so myself.
Not bad at all, Xander. Not bad at all. But after a heist like that, it makes me wonder, what's next for the galaxy's most notorious space pirate? Surely you've got some big plans in the works, some new horizons to chase.
Oh, Felix, you know me too well. A pirate's work is never done. There's always another treasure to steal, another authority figure to outwit, another daring escape to make. But you're right. I do have some big plans for the future. You see, I've been thinking, with all the xanthium crystals I've acquired over the years, I'm practically sitting on a fortune. And what's the point of having a fortune if you don't spend it on something truly grand?
Who? Do tell. What did you have in mind?
Picture this, Felix, a pirate utopia, a haven for scoundrels and rogues from all across the galaxy. I'm talking about a place where a pirate can let down their hair, put up their feet, and relax in style, all while surrounded by the most advanced security systems and anti-detection tech money can buy. I'm envisioning luxury hideouts on remote planets, state-of-the-art repair facilities for ships, and of course, an endless supply of grog and other piratical refreshments. It'll be like a five-star resort, but for pirates.
Wow, Xander, that sounds incredible. A pirate paradise, who would have thought? But what about your crew? Are they on board with this plan?
Are you kidding? They're more excited than a Wookiee at a hair salon. Luna's already drawing up blueprints for the ultimate pirate spa, complete with zero-G massage tables and ionized mud baths. And Zed's practically drooling over the idea of an all-you-can-hack buffet of security systems to play with. Even Grok's getting in on the action. He's volunteered to be the bouncer for our exclusive pirate nightclub. He's already practicing his "you're not on the list" glare in the mirror.
It sounds like you've got it all figured out, Xander. But what about the galactic authorities? Surely they won't be too thrilled about a pirate paradise popping up under their noses?
Oh, I'm counting on it, Felix. In fact, I'm hoping the galactic authorities try to shut us down. It'll just add to the thrill. Can you imagine the bragging rights? I vacationed at a resort so exclusive the cops tried to raid it. Besides, with all the high-tech security measures we'll have in place, the galactic authorities won't even be able to find us, let alone infiltrate our little slice of pirate heaven. It'll be the ultimate thumb in the eye to the powers that be and the ultimate tribute to the pirate lifestyle.
Xander, you never cease to amaze me. A pirate-themed luxury resort. It's the perfect blend of your love for the finer things in life and your unquenchable thirst for adventure.
Well, Felix, when it's up and running, you'll have to come visit. I'll even waive the "no narcs allowed" rule for you. Just this once.
I'm honored, Xander. Truly. But before we take a quick break, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your incredible stories. It's been an absolute blast having you on the show.
The pleasure's all mine, Felix. It's not every day I get to regale an audience with tales of my daring exploits, at least not without the galactic authorities busting down the door.
Well, we're certainly lucky to have you here, Xander. You've given our listeners a fascinating glimpse into the life of a space pirate, the thrills, the challenges, and of course, the fabulous fashion.
Don't forget the fabulous wealth, Felix. That's a pretty important part of the pirate lifestyle, too.
Of course. My apologies to all the aspiring pirates out there. Fabulous fashion and fabulous wealth, the two pillars of any successful pirate career. But as much as I'd love to keep chatting with you, Xander, I'm afraid we really do have to take that break now. When we come back, we'll be checking in with our resident astro-meteorologist, Comet Channing, for an update on the latest space weather. Trust me, folks, you don't want to plan an intergalactic voyage without hearing this forecast first.
Especially if you're planning on sailing through the Maelstrom Nebula. I hear the solar winds there can really ruffle your feathers. Or your sails, as the case may be.
See, this is why we need you on the show, Xander, for the pirate weather tips. But seriously, thanks again for being here. It's been a real treat.
Anytime, Felix, anytime. And remember, keep your blasters charged and your wits sharp, and maybe one day you too could be living the pirate dream.
I'll keep that in mind, Xander, but for now, it's time for a word from our sponsors. Don't touch that dial, Space Cadets. We'll be right back with Comet Channing and the Space Weather Report.
Attention all space cowboys and cosmic cowgirls. Are you tired of the same old boring boots? Introducing the latest fashion sensation, Neutron Star Boots from Black Hole Boutique. These boots are made from genuine collapsed star leather and are so dense they'll literally bend space-time around your feet. But wait, there's more. Each pair comes with a built-in micro-singularity in the heel, ensuring that you'll never lose your footing, even in zero gravity. Just imagine the looks on your friends' faces when you strut into the Andromeda saloon wearing a pair of these bad boys. They'll be so jealous, they might just collapse into a black hole themselves. So don't wait. Head on down to the Black Hole Boutique and get your pair of Neutron Star Boots today. Warning. Black Hole Boutique is not responsible for any accidental time travel or gravity, mishaps that may occur while wearing these boots.
Welcome back, Space Cadets. We're nearing the end of our incredible journey through the cosmos with the one and only Xander Zephyr. But before we sign off, we can't forget about the most important part of any intergalactic adventure, the weather. And who better to guide us through the meteorological minefield of the universe than our resident astro-meteorologist, the incomparable Comet Channing. Welcome to the show, Comet.
Thanks, Felix. It's a pleasure to be here, as always. And let me tell you, the space weather out there is as wild as a supernova at a black hole's birthday party.
I don't even know what that means, but it sounds incredible. So, Comet, what can our listeners expect as they navigate the cosmic seas this fortnight?
Well, Felix, let's start with the Maelstrom Nebula. If you're planning on sailing through this cosmic cyclone, you better pack your anti-gravity galoshes. The solar winds are blowing with the force of 1,000 angry Wookiees, and the plasma rain is coming down like a herd of banthas in a ballet recital.
Yikes! That sounds like a recipe for disaster. Any advice for our listeners brave enough to tackle the maelstrom?
Just remember, Felix, if you can't take the heat, stay out of the nebula. But if you absolutely must venture into the eye of the storm, make sure your ship's shields are as strong as a Mandalorian's resolve, and your hull is as tight as a Hutt's wallet.
Noted. Now, let's take a look at our listener questions. Here's one from Xyloth from Zorgon 5. They ask, what's up with the acid rain on my planet? It's really putting a damper on my outdoor tentacle wrestling tournaments.
Ah, yes, the classic acid rain conundrum. Well, Xyloth, it sounds like your planet is experiencing a case of the sour skies. This occurs when your atmosphere has more attitude than a teenager at a Jedi Council meeting. My advice? Invest in some industrial-strength umbrellas and maybe consider moving your tentacle wrestling indoors.
Great advice, Comet. And speaking of sour skies, let's take a moment to thank our sponsor, the Galactic Gourmet's Sour Supernova Candy. When you need a burst of flavor that's out of this world, reach for a handful of sour supernovas, the only candy that packs a punch like a gamma ray burst.
Tasty. But let's not forget the most important meal of the day, Felix, space weather. And that brings us to our space weather word of the fortnight. This fortnight's word is quantum quackery. This bizarre phenomenon occurs when a rogue quasar gets its feathers ruffled and starts spewing out random bursts of energy, causing all sorts of cosmic chaos. If you find yourself caught in a quantum quackery storm, just remember, it's all fun and games until someone gets their atoms scrambled.
Quantum quackery? That sounds like something straight out of a mad scientist's fever dream. How do you even predict something like that?
Well, Felix, it's not easy. Quantum quackery is about as predictable as a hut's dietary habits. But there are a few telltale signs to look out for. Sudden fluctuations in the space-time continuum, an inexplicable craving for cosmic crackers, and of course the unmistakable sound of a quasar quacking in the distance.
Cosmic crackers and quacking quasars? I feel like I'm in some sort of intergalactic comedy routine.
Welcome to the wonderful world of space weather, Felix, where the jokes are as corny as a supernova's core and the phenomena are as wacky as a wormhole's wardrobe.
Speaking of wacky, Comet, we have a hilarious listener's space weather story to share this fortnight. This one comes from Zorp the Mighty, a frequent flyer in the Andromeda galaxy.
I was cruising through the Horsehead Nebula, enjoying the view, when suddenly my ship was engulfed by a swarm of digital dragonflies. They were feeding on the residual data from my ship's computer, and before I knew it, they had drained my navigation system drier than a Tatooine sandstorm. I had to navigate by the light of my own bioluminescent scales until I could reach the nearest tech support outpost. Talk about a close encounter of the nerd kind.
Oh, Zorp, you really quacked up with that one. Sounds like you got caught in a classic case of quantum quackery. Those digital dragonflies must have been attracted to the random energy bursts from a nearby quasar. Talk about a bug in the system.
I guess you could say Zorp's ship was really down in the dumps after that ordeal.
Good one, Felix. But let that be a lesson to all you space travelers out there. Always keep your anti-quackery shields up and your cosmic crackers well stocked. Because when it comes to quantum quackery, you never know when you might need a little snack to get you through the storm.
Wise words, Comet. Wise words indeed. And on that note, I'm afraid it's time for us to bid farewell to the wacky world of space weather for today.
Don't worry, Felix. We'll be back next fortnight with more quantum quackery and cosmic comedy. Until then, remember, keep your eyes on the skies and your funny bone firmly intact.
Will do, Comet. Will do. That's all the space weather we have time for today. Join us next time for more meteorological mayhem on Intergalactic Insider. And that's a wrap, folks. Remember, if you're planning on embarking on a life of space piracy, always keep one eye on the cosmic forecast and the other on your valuables. And while we here at Intergalactic Insider don't condone breaking the law, we do believe in the power of laughter to bring the galaxy together. Because in the end, we're all just space pirates trying to navigate the cosmic seas of life, one joke at a time. Until next time, space cadets, may your journey be free of quasars, quackery, and quantum craziness. May the solar winds be at your back and the punchlines be ever in your favor. This is Felix Andromeda signing off.